There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Shawn the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am to promote and make some recommendations for a readathon that Mel of Mel's Bookland Adventures has recently announced called Gone with the Book. Really fabulous idea, and the way that she structured it is unique and makes it really easy for me and hopefully you to join in. So it is a readathon of 20th century fiction published before 1950. I'm not sure whether the 1950 makes that cut or not. I'm erring on the side of not including 1950 books, but anything from 1900 to 1949 from anywhere in the world. And just to be absolutely clear, books by male or female writers. Okay? In terms of my recommendations, I'm limiting myself to UK stuff, but you don't have to. It will be happening. I'll put a link to Mel's announcement video in the show notes, of course, but it's happening on the last 7 days of the next 3 months. So literally the last 7 days of September, and then again the last 7 days of October, and then again the last 7 days of November. And she has put it that way, especially for October and November, to give us readathon addicts a break from Victober and a break from nonfiction November during that final week. But it's literally the last 7 days of each month. So that is a fabulous idea, and she is also doing read-alongs each month, and I will check out her announcement video for details of that. And these are going to be kind of in most loved order, but not exactly. E.F. Benson's 1935 novel Map in Lechia. I haven't done a full review of this, but I have talked about it enough that I don't think I need to. I think if you go to my... Even though I was like a deer in the headlights in that first video of my channel, I talked about it there. I'm pretty sure. So it's a comedic fiction about these two rivals in a small British town between the wars, and it is absolutely hilarious. And what I find about most comic fiction is that the characters are just kind of stock characters, but here they're fully fleshed out, and so you kind of fall in love with them as you're laughing your head off at them. I loved it so much. This is also one of my favorite novels of all time, the gay British writer Denton Welch's 1945 novel In Youth is Pleasure. I have a full review of this, so I'm only going to say that it's about a 15-year-old boy, Orville Pym, who's just a bit of a lost soul and obviously going to grow up to be gay. And he just wanders away from his family and finds all kinds of adventures and misadventures during a summer holiday. And I just love Denton Welch. I'm obsessed with Denton Welch, and this was what started it all, In Youth is Pleasure. My full review of this will be linked below as well. I don't have the physical book, so let me stop here before I forget, and also heartily recommend John Galsworthy's series of novels called the Forsyte Saga, published in one volume in 1922, but had been published individually or in chunks before that. And it is just an amazing novel or series of novels. I read it as one novel, and I think of it myself as one novel. And it's massive. It must be 500 or 600 pages, but you could read the first one or the first two during any of those week periods. Extended family around the turn of the century, or Edwardian period, all kinds of adultery and pushing the envelope on social and sexual mores at that time, and really memorable characters. I loved it so much. This was the top read of last year for me, a Welsh novel, Country Dance by Margiad Evans. Does this fit? When was it published? Yeah, 1932, and Margiad Evans was an English-Welsh writer in that she was born in England, lived most of her life in Wales or near the Welsh border, and her topic of all of her writing really was borders. And this Country Dance is a novella you could read, those of you that are so inclined, in one sitting, about love, lust, possessiveness, and murder. It's so good. I have a full review that Charlotte of Tired Mama Tries to Read and I did, that I will link below for more information. I have also read Vita Sackville West's All Passion Spent. And when was it published? 1931. I didn't actually care for this. I didn't think it quite worked, but most people love it, so I'm recommending it to you. But Cousin of Always Doing loved it. I think Mel of Mel's Bookland Adventure really liked it. Most people do. It has a high rating on Goodreads. I thought that the most interesting part of the story was kind of shuttled off the stage for the last two-thirds of the novel, and we were left with a really old woman with so much dementia that, as exciting as it was that she was kind of creating a new life at the age of 88 when her husband, the former British Prime Minister, died, it just didn't have the vitality of that first chapter where we met her bumbling, totally dysfunctional group of children, including one, I think her name was Edith, that just captured my heart and we barely saw again. So it didn't work for me, but most people love it, so you should think about trying it. It's pretty short. So obviously I'm not organized enough to be giving you the ones from most loved to least loved. I do recommend them all to you, and I'm going to tell you how much I love them, but they're not coming out in any sort of order. Welcome to my world, people! This is a Dorothy Whipple novel from Persephone, The Priory, published in 1939. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't think that it quite all worked, and if you love Dorothy Whipple, it's kind of a middle-brow novel, and I think Dorothy Whipple has written better novels, and probably Mel will be talking about one of them. She recommended one to me, and I've forgotten what it was. Maybe, Mel, if you'd be good enough to leave a comment below to alert us to what that novel was that you said was better than this. But this one has, despite its flaws, there was insta-love. Thank you, cousin, for teaching me that term. I feel so young and hip. And the characterization, I thought, was kind of wobbly, and the narrative arc was kind of... I read it just over a year ago, and it has really stuck with me. So that's saying a lot. So I recommend it because of that. It's certainly immensely readable. Don't let the girth of it put you off. It's 500 pages, but as Mel pointed out, Persephone books have wide margins, and Heidi always scolds me if I don't show you the end papers. So, lovely end papers. So no, this is definitely worth a read. Another qualified recommendation is this novel by Sylvia Townsend Warner, Summer Will Show, which I read, I think, last year. Originally published in 1936, and this is probably, of all the ones I've recommended, except perhaps for the Denton Welch, the most highly literary. And again, I didn't think it was a successful novel, but I can't stop thinking about it, and it was a brilliant failure. Lesbian story set during the 1848 revolutions in Paris. British aristocrat woman goes in search of her husband and ends up becoming lovers with his mistress. Yeah. And the intricacy of the storytelling, it didn't quite work, and her prose is not for everybody, and apparently this is not her best work. So I would try something else by her. I can't recommend anything else by her to you, but if this sounds good, give it a try. In much more positive territory, this is a lovely novel by Rachel Ferguson. The Brontes Went to Woolworths. I have a full review. I'll link it below. Originally published in 1931. It's whimsical, but there seems to be something more serious going on under the surface about storytelling and making stuff up as a way of experiencing life to the fullest. That's not just dysfunctional, but also is quite magical, and it isn't just childish. Yeah, it's really still with me. Check out my review, because I said it much better there, but I do recommend it, and it's short. Also on Scribd as an ebook. And the final one that I will recommend to you, and the video that Cousin and I made discussing it will have gone live before you see this, and that is the novella that I just finished reading the other day, One Fine Day by Molly Panter Downs, 1947. Cousin didn't like it. It's a day in the life of a character, and there isn't a lot of plot, and I didn't like the overly flowery prose. There was way too many adjectives and adverbs, but despite that, I quite enjoyed it. and thought the characters were really well drawn, and I did get an emotional tug, and it surprised Cousin that I did get that emotional tug. Check out our video for more information, but I would recommend this to you. And of course, it goes without saying that Virginia Woolf would be an obvious, highly literarily highbrow choice of reading. Of the books I've read by her, Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse are my personal favorites, and so I'm not going to talk about those other than to say, think about reading some of those, hey? I am so excited to be participating in this uniquely structured readathon, Gone with the Book, and stay tuned for my progress. Thanks for watching.